Okay, we are up and recording. So this is week 2 of our 6-week series on Next Level Leadership. Tonight we're going to talk about um, setting goals and your personal best. So I am recording this, and I'll be putting the playback in there. Like I said, it kind of hit us at a weird time, and so we're having to get on early. And I know that people are trying to get their families fed, and I understand. So they'll catch the recording, and that is not a problem. So again, this is week 2, and tonight we're going to talk about goal setting and personal best. So I want to start this off. So I just have lots of different kind of notes, and so I'll just kind of go through them and talk about them. And then at the end, we'll go off the recording, and you guys are welcome to ask anything, and we'll work through it. So as you guys know, this company, it is truly different from everything else out there. And I mean, like, I believe it with all my heart, and I feel like you guys do too. But you know, I've been here for 2.5 years, and I would say in this 2.5 year period, I've grown the most professionally, and gosh, I mean, maybe even spiritually, and definitely in the personal development arena. And it's a good thing. It's a good thing to finally be at this point and place in my life what I'd give to figure out all these things at 30, but that's not the way it was supposed to be. So I just roll with it. But one thing that as you get older, I know some of you are younger and it might not imply the same, but for me, it is very important to me how I leave this world. And I want to help people to the point where people are like, you know, because she believed in me, I didn't quit. I kept going. Like, I really want to make a difference in people's lives, and help and bless them, because I feel like I'm so blessed. So you get one shot, guys. You get one shot to write your story. And, you know, for some people, I mean, like, I'll be honest with you. I asked my mom that question. And I said, so is it important to you how you leave this world? And she said, not really. And I was like, what? I mean, what? So now when I talk with her and I understand, you know, ever since, you know, trouble and all we went through with that, like, she gets it now. Like, she gets that you're put here to bless others, not yourself. And I mean, you get blessed along the way, but you got really and truly, you got one shot to write your story. So I don't know. I'm sure there's other platforms out there, but I believe we have our hands on a heck of a platform to go out and help a lot of people. So when I know that's a deep topic, but when I really get my brain around, I got one shot to write my story, and I get to decide how I impact or influence. Then it all kind of starts coming in to perspective. So are you giving your personal best? You know, when I answer that question for myself, it's still no. There's always more I could be doing. There's always a 15-minute period where I could have done something else. And so I'm striving to be the best person that I can be, but I don't know. I can't wait till I get to the day when I can say that I am giving my personal best, both in my physical activity, my exercise, my diet, my business. I mean, when it all is running on all cylinders. And I can tell you I'm on the right track, but that's going to be a tough one day to say, yep, I'm giving everything I've got. That's a lot. That's a lot of responsibility. And I know that I've got a lot more to give. And so you guys know that one of the questions that really threw me into some major growth was Justin Prince. When he asked me, I bet we'd been here about 3 or 4 months. And Justin asked me, he said, he saw something in me. And, you know, when I see things in you guys, I mean, I get so much of where that comes from and where he is, because he saw something in me. And he asked me, he said, are you giving it, he said, are you giving it all you've got every day in all areas of your life? Are you doing your best? And I said, I said, well, heck no. And he said, why not? He said, what are you saving it for? And when I thought about that, I think about fear, and I think about being fearful of and thinking about what other people think and judgment and things like that. And then he said, when are you going to turn it on? And I got it. I totally got what he meant by that. And he totally caught me off guard. It was one of those core shaking moments when you truly start to understand that you're wasting time. And that was me. I felt like I'm doing all right, but I'm wasting time. And when someone can call you out on it and make you see the difference and when he said, are you using God's given, the things God gave you to your full ability, the gifts he gave you to your full ability every day? No. And so that was a big one. That was a gut wrenching and a game changer for me, because I want to be much better at that. And then I began to start learning about your struggle, and people don't define you to your struggle. It's so important when you truly start to understand that your struggle is not your story. How you overcome that struggle is your story, and it's to be shared with the world. And he taught me that. And so for the longest time, I couldn't talk about the things that we'd been through financially and losing our house and things like that. And when the more and more I became comfortable with it was because that's not my story. I mean, it happened exactly the way it was supposed to happen. And I'm supposed to go help people and help them through those situations because he led me through it. And I love the saying, it can't rain forever. And so I believe that. And so when you ask yourself that, whatever your dark times are, no matter what you're going through right now, remember that's not your story. How you overcome it is going to be your story, and it's to be shared with the world. So that's a little bit about that. My notes kind of really jump around on this one. So I want to make sure I don't jump around back and forth. This is something else that I've learned. Everything significant in life is uphill. I mean, how many times have you been really proud of yourself for something that was easy? Never. So everything significant in life is uphill. But then I learned, go exceed everyone's expectations. And I was like, hello. I mean, that's a game changer right there. Is to go and change, exceed everyone's expectations on and understanding that significance is only in life is reached and it's uphill. And then another thing that I started to really understand is each day you have a choice to climb this mountain. And it's like, are you going to climb it today? Or are you going to sit down and say, no, I'm not climbing it today. I'm tired. It just depends on what lights your fire. It depends on what makes you want to get out there and do more. So you have to kind of decide that for yourself. Now we're going to kind of go into some goals. And that was kind of some talking about your personal best. So now we're going to talk a little bit about tracking your numbers. You guys, I don't know. I know some of you know, some of you may not know, but I track my numbers all the time. And most of the time I can probably track, I could probably tell you where you were last month on this day. So, and I don't do that. I do that so that I can compare to the month before and the month before, because I like to see where I've gone. And also it tells me who I've got where to get them to the next level. And so I'm going to encourage you to find a system. You guys know I use this planner, and I'm giving one away for the most serum sales this month. But it's not a super fancy system, guys. It's just handwritten. And right now I have a filing system that is not very professional either, but it's just kind of stuck in folders on my desk. But right now I can go back to May of this year, May of last year, and I can tell you different things, and I even write down the time of day that was. So like if I get up and I check where my numbers are, I'll put the amount and then I'll put the time of day. And then y'all know the back office is wonderful now because it tracks your 3 or 4 legs. So there's your numbers right there of your 3 legs or 4 legs, and you can track where each one of your legs are every day as well. It already figures it up for you. You don't have to do anything but just look at at one of the boxes in the back office in your on where you are today, and it will tell you where your legs are, and you can begin to start to track those numbers and do exactly what I'm doing by saying, girl, you were on track for this month, you're on track for this, I believe you can get to this. Does that make sense? Does everybody understand tracking those? And you don't have to do this. This is not something that's required. This is something that I do. I did it in our previous company because I like to see where I'm at, and I like to make up the difference. And you can also feed your business with it. So in other words, say you're tracking today and you look back at last month and you're 1,000 points behind where you were this day last month. Well, what you can do is rally your team and say, do you guys think we could do 1,000 points today? I mean, and figure out a plan to get you back on track or exceeding it. Does that make sense? That way you can, or you can set a goal. I want to be 4,000 above where I was this day next month, and set that goal. So that means grabbing and locking arms with your team and helping them reach their goals. So does everybody understand how it is that I track this, and that it is very helpful when you start really building your business to know where you were on this day last month and the previous month. And then you can really start to compare this day last year. And when you start doing that and you look at how much you've grown over a year's time, like, you're going to be so proud of yourself. You're going to be so proud that you're sticking in there and getting this thing done, and that you've grown. I think sometimes we forget how much we've grown until you look back at the year before and the year before. So it's totally up to you. This is just something that I do. And if you start to do it, you can come up with your own system. But I think that it's eye-opening to really drive your business. So tracking your numbers and then setting goals within your numbers of where you want to be. Find a mentor. One of the best sayings that I heard was, show me your mentor and I'll show you your future. So, write that down. I mean, show me your mentor and I'll show you your future. I cannot stress enough that it is 1,000,000% the truth. When I came into this business, I was broken. I was broke. I didn't have any answers for some major life dilemmas. And all I knew was that I was willing to work. And like I said, if they told me to go out in the rain and stand on my head, I did it. I mean, just tell me what to do. Tell me what you did to get where you are, and I will go out and duplicate it. And that's exactly what works. And so what was taught to me is what is being taught to you. It's not rocket scientists. It is, a lot of it just comes from passion and the desire to want to win. I mean, like, you got to have that desire to want to win and help others win. And that is really the main ingredient in this formula. So find a mentor of someone that is where you are. It doesn't even have to be someone in our company. It doesn't have to be in our business, but find somebody that feeds you in a way that no one else can feed you. And because you cannot pour from an empty cup, you must have someone that you are being fed and challenges you to step up your game. You guys know that we're big Jim Rohn fans here. And, I love his philosophy of ants think winner all the time. If we were to think winner all the time, our businesses would be exploding. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. I cannot stress enough the importance of personal development, because even if you're soaring right now and everything you touch is turning to gold, the day's going to come when it gets harder. And that's when people quit. That's when people are like, oh, I'm not a millionaire in 2 months. I'm quitting. And that's where people quit. And most of the time they quit right before things were about to really happen. And that's what's sad. So I like to tell people, and I hope that you guys can start to, when you work with your teams and individuals that join your team, one thing I'm saying to these people when I talk to them is, let's just go ahead and commit to 1 year, no matter what. 1 year, jump in and do what we're doing, and we'll see where you are in a year. That way, in 2 months, when I said make the commitment to yourself, that way when that 2 month or 3 month period happens, and Jane's over here elite 3 in 2 months, and you're like, well, that didn't happen for me. You remember you made a commitment to yourself, and you understand your journey is different. Your journey is not anyone else's. Your journey is yours and yours alone. So remember that. Remember that, the importance of that, and that you have to be sharpening that axe. I'll tell this story real quickly because I never know how many people have heard me tell this, but somebody needs to hear it. But I had been doing personal development long before I knew it was personal development, but not anything like now. And I remember when we were in our previous company, and I was in the jacuzzi, and I was reading this book, and it's called The Slight Edge, and it's a really good book. And it came to the point, and he asked, Abraham Lincoln was asked the question, if you were given 6 hours to chop down a tree, how would you go about it? And it asked you to think, how would you go about it? And so I thought, well, I guess I'd just whack at it until I got tired, and then I'd whack at it some more, and eventually I'd get that tree down. Well, Abraham Lincoln goes on to say, I'd spend the first 4 hours sharpening my axe, so I wouldn't have to hit it but just a few times. That philosophy, that passage changed my life. And so if you're not sharpening your axe, you certainly can't lead a team. You certainly can't inspire a team, because if you're not being inspired and fed, you can't inspire and feed others. So you must be inspired, be getting that inspiration from somewhere. And, like now I've read books to the point where I need to reread them because I don't remember everything they said. I can remember a couple of major things, but I promise you, if I go back and read them, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I forgot that. Just like when Benji was talking to us about the entrepreneur roller coaster. And she said, when you face a dilemma or fear, is it going to kill you? And I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot all about that. So I'm going to dive back into some of the good ones that I haven't read in a long time. But it's also your armor. Personal development is your armor that you go into battle with. So last week, I talked a little bit about the story with Chandler and about being that person that shows up early, stays late, offers to help others, in it to win it. In it to win it, and being that person. So I want you to write down this question. What can I do better? Like, what can you do better? There has to be something that comes to mind in the minute that you say that, like, what can I do better? I mean, we all have something we could be doing better, but acknowledge it. Bring it to your full attention that you're acknowledging this. So when we were in our previous company, I had a mentor that I spoke. It was not a mentor; he's a coach that I spoke to once a month for 1 hour, and coached me through being a leader. And so some of that stuff that we're going to learn in this 6 weeks is some of the stuff that he taught me. And he's an amazing man. His name is David Bird, and I eventually ended up with Rob Greer, who is his son-in-law. And I look forward to those calls every month because it helped me with some of the things, some of the obstacles of growing as a leader. And I can tell you that one thing that they drilled in my head was planning your month. You should not know what you're doing tomorrow. You should know what you're doing tomorrow. Of course, we all know what we're doing tomorrow. We got a big old product to launch, but you should know. You shouldn't wake up that day and wing it. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do today for my business, but I got to do something. You should have specific goals on your calendar every day. And this is what he taught me. You should have weekly, monthly, and yearly goals. So when you are setting those goals, if you start tracking your numbers and you're setting those goals, a lot of that will start to coincide with each other, and it'll make a lot more sense. But I can tell you one thing that I learned is that he said he taught us over and over was take 15 minutes that last week of the month and plan next month. Look at what's on your calendar. I know some of you, a lot of times, how many times have y'all thought, why is she coming up with that next month? Why is she asking about doing something next month? Because that's what he taught me. He taught me plan your month. So I'll look at the calendar and say, might be a good day to have lunch, or this might be a good day to do this, or this might be a good day to do that. And I start planning and putting together and filling in those dates. So even if it's like you don't remember it's someone's birthday, write that on your calendar. Know what's going to go on the next month and start planning it the month before. And I promise you that 15 minutes, he would say, schedule it with yourself. Schedule that 15 minutes or 30 minutes, 15 to 30 minutes with yourself every month, the last week of the month, to plan the next month. And that's just an overall general planning. Then you start breaking it down to weekly goals. And then eventually yearly goals. So you're always setting a goal. This is one so accountability. I remember when I first was being coached by David Bird himself. And this is back before I had my priorities straight. I mean, like, I had come in, found success really fast, and that business grew really, really quickly. And you were just in this fog, because you're like, this happened so fast. You're kind of scratching your head like, well, what happened? That's why I love the organic growth that we have here. And like, there were so many people joining that you missed a lot of people. I missed a lot of people. And that's one thing that I definitely want to do here. But there's a certain point when, as a leader, you have to be held accountable. And you may say, what does that mean? And it's being accountable to keep showing up. You must be held accountable to the standards you're wanting others to be held accountable to. And not only are you supposed to meet those, you better exceed them. Because if you don't, they're watching. So exceed their expectations. That's probably the best message I have for you on this Zoom, is exceed everyone's expectations of what they're expecting of you. And guys, it will open doors like you've never seen before. But we have accountability groups. We have things that we know we're supposed to do every day that maybe we're not doing. And I ran across this and it really hit me in the gut. And the question is, are you running from accountability? So I ask you to write that down, and I ask you to be honest with yourself. Are you running from accountability? Like, there's some things that you do well, maybe there's some things you don't do well, but there's some sections in your business that you're not holding yourself accountable to the level that you're holding others to, or you want to hold them to. So I'm asking you, are you running from accountability? You know how you may have those people, you guys know those people, you're all been leaders long enough, or most of you have, that there's those people that they don't want you to know what they're not doing. Those are not your people. Because you cannot run from accountability. You cannot. So this next part that I want to talk to you guys about is some homework. And we have a week and a day, because we're doing this a day early. So I have a little bit of homework for you guys, but I think that you're going to love it. And some of you have already done this before with me. If not, it's time to redo it. It's time to update it. So here's what I want you to do. Is I want you to, first of all, I need you to understand that a goal, when you set goals, there must be action steps to reaching those goals. Okay, you made your goal here. Now, how are you going to reach that goal? What activities are you going to do to up your game to reach that goal? So you must have a goal, because a goal without a plan is just a wish. You're just wishing this happens, and it's not going to happen. You cannot wish yourself into success. A goal without a plan is just a wish. You must have a goal. You must have activities that are going to drive this, that are over and beyond what you're currently doing. So remember that. If you have a goal and you don't have a plan to go along with it, it's just a wish. So the first one is, where do you see yourself in 6 months? I'd like for you to write down, where do you see yourself in 6 months? That's the little bitty piece of homework, is, where do you see yourself in this company? Where do you see yourself physically? Do you see yourself down 10 pounds or 10 inches? Or where do you see yourself in 6 months from now. And that's, believe it or not, guys, that's going to be around Christmas. So where do you plan to see yourself around the holidays? What's your goal? What is your goal for that point? That's your first goal, real goal I want you to set from tonight's Zoom, is a 6-month goal. Tracking, planning, executing. What are the things you're going to do to plan, track, and execute to get the goal that you just now set? Okay, so this next thing that I want you guys to do, and this both taps into personal best and goal setting, is before next Tuesday, when we do this live, the next week we're going to talk about always developing, always being a student. So the homework is, and I had to do this when I first began to be coached by David Bird. This was one of the first assignments that I had. So you guys are ready for this. I want you to write a day in your life 5 years from today. From the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. What does that day look like? A lot of people said it, I remember when I wrote mine, it was my birthday. It wasn't really my birthday, but when I did the 5-year, I said, today's my birthday. And I took it from there. And I wrote everything from waking up to what I had for breakfast, to where I was at, to where we ended up for dinner with my family and what we were planning at that dinner. And then end it with how grateful you are that this is where you are. So I want you can video yourself. You don't have to write this down. You can video yourself and you can save it in your phone, and no one ever has to see it but you. If you want to share it, great. If you don't, that's okay too. I remember when I shared mine, and it made it real because I wasn't just writing down some things that I was wishing for. I will tell you that I set out, I had 5 major goals when I started this business and when I started becoming a leader. And I will tell you that I did all 5 of them. And when you can mark things off of the goal that you set for yourself, it feels really good. And I want you guys to be able to draw that line and have that check mark or whatever that goal is. So write it down or record it. What does your day look like 5 years from today? What does your life look like? What do you do? Do you have grandchildren? Do you live in a different state? Did you adopt a child? Do you have 10 dogs? I mean, what is your story? What is your life like? And where are you in this business? Are you still in this business? If so, what is your rank? Have you retired your husband? These are the things I want you to really get real with yourself as to where you see yourself 5 years from today, from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed. Then, one last thing. If you're going to record it, I want you to also say some things to your future self in 5 years. You can do 2 videos if you want. The second video is, I want you to talk to yourself 5 years from now. I want you to say, I'm proud of you. I knew you could do it. Whatever it is, whatever your demons are, whatever your obstacles you've got to overcome, you did it. And no one ever has to see it. Save it in your phone in a place no one will ever find it but you. And then periodically go back and listen to yourself. Hear a message from you. So when times get hard or the devil creeps in, you go back and listen to that. Take your own advice. And, in our last company, we did something very similar to this. And it was up to you whether you wanted to share it. And I'll tell you, I still have about 10 of those, some of the people that are on here tonight. And they're still in my phone. And there's been once maybe that I've pulled them back out and sent them back to them. And I cannot begin to tell you the impact it had. So, guys, this is about being the best you can be. And we have a platform to reach a lot of people and help them know there is a better way. There is another way, and it is awesome. I don't know if it's for you or not, but man, I love the person I'm becoming. I love the person that I'm going to be. I'm loving these people that love me. And I'm certainly glad that I'm learning I'm capable of so much more. So tonight was only 30 minutes. So let me turn off the recording and we can chat.